As you might have noticed, we don't have a quorum yet, so we're going to have to wait until we have one more member before we can begin. Dennis, you're in the back. Is there something special about the bleachers today? We can use you. Oh, now we're a quorum of 6. You want to check the lights? Okay, so Janice, flip your switch, just make sure we have lights. Okay, we're good. Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome you to the June 23rd Oklahoma City Planning Commission meeting. Sorry we're getting started a couple of minutes late. First thing, if you have pagers or cell phones, I would ask that you either silence those or turn them off at this time. If you're not the applicant and you've come to address us on a case, there are sign-up sheets that are on the table outside the chambers, and if you would complete one and give it to our secretary, we'd be happy to hear you. And with that, we'll consider the minutes for the June 9th meeting. Move approval. Second. Okay, we have a motion and second to approve the minutes. Cast your votes. And the minutes are approved. Continuances, JJ?
I have one uncontested continuance. It's item 10, SPUD 609. The applicant requested deferral to July 14th.
Did anyone come today to talk to us about that particular item? Item 10 on our agenda? Okay, I'll take a motion.
Move the uncontested.
Second. A motion and second to continue item 10. Cast your votes, and that's approved.
I have several new continuances. Item 3, SPUD 618. Item 5, PC 10277. Item 6, C6282. And item 8, SPUD 594. All these items are requested to be deferred to July 14th. And item 7, C6285, the preliminary plat of Northbrook, request to be withdrawn.
Again, the same question. Did anybody come down today to talk to us about items 3, 5, 6, 7, or 8? Commissioners?
Move the additional continuance.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second to continue these items. Cast your votes, and that's approved. Are there any continuance requests from the public today? Okay.
First item for public hearing is item 1, C-5197, extension of the preliminary plat of Rivendell South, located north of 134th and east of May Avenue.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, my name is Paul Odom. Our company is PB Odom III Construction, and I'm the developer of Rivendell South.
Are you agreeable with the TEs, Paul?
Yes, Commissioner. I want to address number one. Currently in Rivendell, because this is an extension of an already very large subdivision, currently in Rivendell, we already meet this requirement with over 15-plus acres of lakes, 2 gazebos, one 10,000 square foot, another 2,500 square foot with a 20,000-foot park attached to that. So I'd just like the record to reflect that Rivendell currently does meet that TE, and then the other TE is, I guess that's the only one there is. Okay,
That's it.
Yes, okay.
Okay, Commissioners, no one signed up. Move approval. Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve item 1. Cast your votes, and it's approved. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you very much.
Item 2, SP 436, application by City Rescue Mission for a special permit to operate an emergency shelter and feeding site located at 914 West California Avenue.
Hi, Audrey Blank, 522 Colcord Drive, on behalf of City Rescue Mission. Tom Jones, the president of City Rescue Mission, is here, as well as other representatives. City Rescue Mission is in the process of purchasing the Carpenters Union Building, which is located adjacent to the west of their existing campus. And the picture I passed out shows the building and their adjacent facility. The plan is to use the additional space to serve the existing programs. Most important thing is that they're planning to move the housing for the men to the Carpenters Union Building, and so that the women, they'll be separate from the women and the families in the other building. And then the acquisition of this property would also provide for additional recreation and outdoor space, and there'll be no increase in the number of beds, so it's for their more space for their existing programs. And we're here to respond to questions. And
Commissioners, no one signed up. Any questions or comments?
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve item 2. Cast your votes, and it's approved. Thank you.
Item 4, SPUD 616, application by William L. Smith Family Limited Partnership to rezone 3724 West Park Place to the SPUD Simplified Planned Unit Development District.
Is the applicant here? If you'd give us your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, sir. My name is Ken Smith. Our business is located at 3733 Northwest 10th Street. I am one of the owners of Smith Farm and Garden. Also, I'm on the board of directors of Friends of Northwest 10th Street, and also Beautification Task Force chairman for the Friends of Northwest 10th Street.
Okay. Tell us what it is you're trying to do, or you're asking us approval of.
Our business has changed over the last 50 years, and we are now having a large portion of our customers that come to our store, which are city and state, and also commercial lawn mowing companies that come to our store that bring equipment on trailers. And we are proposing a drive that would come from our parking lot. It would be entered from Northwest 10th Street, and the drive would go between our service area and our retail area and go north to the property in question, and develop as such where it will force those vehicles and trailers to turn south only on Quapaw instead of going north into the residential areas. We currently have 2 other entrances onto Quapaw, which allows those trailers to go either north or south. By doing this, we would lessen the amount of traffic, especially the ones with trailers, that choose to go north, because we would design this as the drawing shows, where it's going to force them to the left, plus it'll have signs with left turn only and no right turns.
Would you remove the gravel drive on the north property line, which is
Yes,
West
sir.
Park Place?
And we would replace it. There would be no exit or entrance onto Park Place. That would be totally fenced in with a 6-foot-high fence with no entrances or exits going into the residential neighborhood on Park Place. And also, there would be site-proof fencing on the east property line and the west property line with a large double gate on the exit onto Quapaw.
Have you looked at the staff report and read the technical evaluations?
Yes, sir.
Are you in agreement with those?
I have a couple of exceptions. First of all, on the staff report, they requested a wood fence instead of a metal fence. We would rather put in a metal fence. Number one, for 10% more money, we have something that's going to last 2 to 3 times longer. Also, our experience with wood fencing is not as secure as metal fencing. It can be easily kicked in and entered through. Also, wood fencing looks good for a couple of years, and it really deteriorates in a hurry after the 4th year. In my opinion, the metal fence with the products that are available now would be more long-lasting, would be a lot better in the long run than a wood fence.
Have you looked into other fencing material, like the concrete panel type fences that look like brick?
No, sir.
They obviously last longer than metal. They don't get bent up and they don't fade. I have a kind of thought that if I'm living over on Park Place, I'm not going to be real fond of looking at a metal fence. That's not good for the neighborhood. I agree with you on the wood. They look wonderful when they're put up, but on the second day they start deteriorating, and it's a nightmare to maintain them. So I'd encourage you to do something else other than metal or wood in that regard.
We do have someone signed up, Bob. Go ahead.
Well, let me just, I want to weigh in with what Nick was saying. I agree with about the wood, but if I don't want a metal fence facing me if I'm on Park Place. So and I've got another question about the details about the left turn.
Yes, sir.
How that's going to work. You know, I mean, in other words, on the application, I have questions about the lack of detail. One of the TEs said a site plan drawn to scale should be submitted. You know, you've just got pencil marks, and that's all I've seen.
I asked Lance about that, and he said that I would need that for city council, but I really didn't need, it was a kind of short time period.
I'd like to see that here at this commission meeting, because we're the first leg into the deal.
I apologize for that.
But then the other thing is, you have, this is going to be used primarily as a parking lot for these trucks and people coming over, right? Are you going to build a building on it?
Not at this time.
The question that I have, though, is you have custom manufacturing as a use.
Right.
Well, I don't know how extensive custom manufacturing is under C3. I don't know what that entails. but it might entail something that makes noise to the neighbors. And I don't know. If you want to do manufacturing, right now it's a parking lot. I'll give you the repair services, retail sales, but I would like to delete custom manufacturing for this purpose right now. If you want to do something different later on, then you come back in and say, I'd like to do that. And then on the details of the left turn, the details of the fence, I really am not ready to approve this. Not that I think you've done a great deal of effort to accommodate what the neighbors want you to accommodate, and their appreciation for how you maintain the park and what I read just now with how the park's maybe that's going to be revamped. I don't disagree with what it is you want to do, but I'd like to see what the fence looks like, what the materials are, and how you're going to ensure that a left turn will only be on Quapaw, on that street, and how that's going to be designed. That's my comment.
Most, I would say 90% of the traffic that would use this drive will be trailers. We're going to direct those trailers in between our two buildings.
But you can do this, so they can't do that.
Right.
That's what I'd like to see.
If you have an 18 to 20-foot trailer, it's not that.
They can't do that.
Right.
But I'd like to see the details of how you're going to ensure, not just a sign, no right turn.
Okay.
You know.
From that drawing, if you notice, it bows out to the north and then comes back south.
But that's for a specific plan. Okay.
And,
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Jim.
I'd like to make my comments now, if you would. I'm piggyback off of what Mr. Bright and what Nick was saying concerning the site plan. At this point, I would like to see more detail on the site plan, too. I know we have it to where you have so many points for landscaping, but if we're going to do it to scale, I'd like to see it to scale. I'd like to see what type of landscaping you're proposing. Where is it not? In this little sketch, they show a few trees, so I'd really just like to see the detail of it, some examples of the type of fence, again, and the actual layout of how you're going to lay your landscaping out, this detail about this exit over onto to the west, the exit as you're coming out of the drive. So just do a detailed site plan showing all the things that you want to do.
okay.
And if, I'd rather see it.
And I have no problem with taking the manufacturing out of that list.
I know we're here the rest of it, but I probably almost would like to make a recommendation that we continue it until we bring the document back with the details in it so we can actually see it here.
Okay.
But nothing.
Yeah, it would be a site plan, then we could actually approve. We would know the turn radius as you come around to the west and go south on Quapaw. We could actually see that you couldn't make turns with a trailer to go north. And that site plan would be what we would approve and adopt, and that's what you would take to council and what you would have to take to the permitting.
Okay.
So we would know what we're approving, they would know what they're permitting.
Okay.
So our next meeting is July 14th.
Okay.
If we could continue this item to that date, and if you would get with Lance for a little more detail on exactly what we're asking for, he'll guide you through it.
Okay, in my application, I had descriptions of the metals that I was wanting to use on this fence or anything. Is that not acceptable? Do I need to bring in actual pieces of metal, or?
We're not going to probably approve something that's metal based upon what I'm hearing the commissioners saying. If I'm a resident across the street, and you're surrounded by residential, which we obviously have an obligation to protect, just like we have an obligation to encourage your business, we need to make sure that it's something that is appropriate against a residential location.
Okay, and you're saying metal is not?
Well, what I envision as metal is not. Maybe what you're envisioning is, and you said, do you need to bring samples in? No, but pictures would be good. Well, whoever's selling this, they have all their promotional deal. If you're sticking whatever material you come up, you can bring us a picture of what it's going to look like, and we can incorporate that in the application. It would be very helpful.
Commissioners, we still have someone to be heard from who has signed up to speak.
We want to hear that.
Okay. Raymond Wainscott? If you would be good enough to give us your name and address, please, for the
Yes,
record.
my name's Raymond Wainscott. I live at 3717 West Park Place.
Okay.
I have signatures here of everyone in the neighborhood that we could find, with the exception of 2 houses that are vacant now that oppose this being done. And as far as the metal, we would not like a metal fence, because metal fence, from my understanding and history of being around, it does reverberate the sound more, and we're concerned about the sound in our area. And we know he does repairs, and he was talking about possibly doing repairs back in that area, which brings the sound even closer to our neighborhood instead of up on Northwest 10th.
Tell us your other concerns, if you would, please.
Our other concerns is the site, the traffic, danger to the children and everything, just like we wrote and mailed into you. And the main thing I would like to request today, that I don't think any of y'all would want to approve something like this being done across from you, right across the street from your house. I could be wrong. I mean, y'all might. Some people like that. But what we would like to request, because of the history we've had with Mr. Smith, like him putting that gravel road in, after he called and asked Pat to ask the neighbors said, no, we don't want it. We don't want the traffic. He put it in anyway. He did it. It wasn't legal. He hasn't taken it out. He did put up a fence to stop it. He didn't put it permanent. He didn't put it close enough. 18-wheelers can drive in between that and go out on Park Place easily behind that barricade he put there. And he pulls it down regularly for his customers to go through, for his sales and stuff. So we don't feel like we can trust him. So what we would like to request, that if y'all do grant this for him, and we have no problems with the parking lot and them driving through, we don't want noise, we don't want any sales, and we don't want access to our street. But what we would like to request, because we feel that it won't be followed through, is that an escrow account be set up with a good 5 estimates of what it would cost to do the site screening, landscaping, sidewalks, and everything that's entailed around there, outside the property that faces any residential area, and that be set up, the average of those amounts be put in escrow. The only thing that can be touched is to be taken care of that, and then he has to do that before he can lift one finger to change anything on that property, so we're ensured that he will actually follow through with this.
Well, I'm not sure we have any authority to require an escrow account. In fact, I'm pretty sure we don't. What we do is inspect PUDs and SPUDs after they're finished, and city inspectors go out and make sure that the conditions in the SPUD have been met.
And what do you do if they don't? If he gets his buildings, his whatever he wants done, and then he comes back and says, well, I don't have money to do that.
Well,
Then what?
that's beside the point. He gets a ticket for a violation and goes to municipal court.
Also, Mr. Chairman, I believe you had to get a permit to build a parking lot. I think you had to go through a permitting process, and he can't get the use permit unless he satisfies all of the requirements of the permit, and the fence and the landscaping and the sidewalks will all be associated with that permit.
Okay. Well, that's our concern, because he hasn't been very well working with the neighbors at all, just like that road, like I said. And our concern is he won't follow through with it. The SPUD 414 that was put in, we were told, yes, it went into effect. No, it didn't. When those houses got torn down, nothing ever happened. There's never been anything done down there, nothing. Even though those houses were torn down, we were told, yes, when they tore them down, that put that SPUD into effect. Then they said, oh, no, it didn't. It's still residential, and now it's SPUD 14, but nothing, no sites proofing up there or anything either.
Okay?
Well, we'll be looking at a specific site plan on July 14th with everything clearly presented in front of us, and that will be, if we approve it, exactly what we approve.
And Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, just another comment. The saying goes, good fences make good neighbors. I would suggest that when I'm not sure you've ever met with the neighbors on this particular application. Have you? Have you met with Mr. Smith? Between now and then, it would be really a great idea to mend fences, so to speak, and to show them what the fence is going to be, what the landscaping is going to be, how this is going to happen, et cetera, et cetera. And then in the July meeting, perhaps when you come back in with your application, you'll satisfy what our concerns have been as well as your neighbors. Okay?
Okay, with that, I'll take a motion.
I move that we continue this item to July the 14th.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to continue item 4 until July 14th. Cast your votes. We'll see you then.
Okay, thank you.
Item 9 is CE 806, application by Ideal Homes to close a portion of the east-west utility easement located at 2801 Northwest 182nd Street.
Good afternoon. Chris Anderson with SMC Engineering, representing the applicant. This is an item that's been continued for several meetings while we were working out some issues with the sanitary sewer department. We've got that worked out, so we're requesting the approval of the item.
No one signed up, Commissioners?
So everybody's good at the staff level now.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I've got some correspondence here from Nathan Maddenwall. If you haven't got that, I can give that to you.
Very good. Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve item 9. Cast your votes. And that is approved.
Thank you.
Next item additionally noticed is election of officers.
Mr. Chairman, in light of the extraordinary service the current chairman has made to this commission,
Not me.
that I would, and without hearing of any other person who, as I think I emailed you, in their right mind would take on that job, I nominate John Yokel as chairman and Mike Hensley as vice chairman.
Other nominations? Other comments, please?
I think the only thing that I would say, from what I understand, is that we would have to waive our
Well,
bylaws.
I know that, but I mean, I think we need to have a discussion.
That would be my comment. We have given lip service 3 or 4 times now to amending the bylaw or passing a resolution or doing something, and we never have. We say we're going to every time. We wink at our own bylaws and then ignore them. Because of that, I'm going to ask that we continue this until we can get that done and then vote on it. Don, I have no problem with you being the chair.
That's not the issue. I happen to agree with you.
But we've just winked at this issue, and yet we hold applicants to task to tell them to follow the rules when we don't follow our own rules. I have difficulty with that.
We can bring back a resolution at the next meeting to
I would like to
take care of that.
And
I withdraw the motion in deference to Commissioner Gales.
Do we have to make a motion to continue this election to the next meeting?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we continue the election of planning commission officers until what date?
July 14th.
July 14th. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to continue the election of officers to July 14th and to ask for a resolution of the staff to amend the bylaws at that time. Cast your votes, and that's approved. Any additional items I'm not aware of? Planning Commission committees, Planning Commission members. Nick?
Mr. Chairman, summer of 2006, we heard a PUD 1198 to allow a C3 PUD to allow the construction of a medical complex, Kilpatrick Turnpike, across from Mercy Hospital and the Heart Hospital. We limited the signage at PUD to monument signs, and now a billboard has been constructed on that site. I've been trying to find out what the circumstances that are, and apparently there's some type of confusion either on my part, I believe on the part of the commission, on what we believe we're doing, and how that is being interpreted by the public and maybe our permitting staff. I don't know. When I read the PUD, we restricted it to monument signs no greater than 12 feet. whether it's an oversight on the permitting part or if it's an oversight on our part where we have not been accomplishing what we thought we were in these PUDs. At this point, there's a question, and I've talked with staff, I've talked on a limited basis with Mr. Counselor, but at this point, there is not a definitive answer in my mind. And what I would like to request would be for staff and the municipal counselor to get together between now and the next meeting and report back to us either that this can be done and therefore we've been doing these PUDs in error and come with some type of a ordinance amendment to plug that hole, or if in fact the sign, the PUD does rule, as I thought it did, and the sign was permitted in error, tell us that. But I would like something back from staff and municipal counselor, because I see this as a major issue.
Well, at the time we looked at that item and the way reports were coming to us at that time, uses that were being eliminated were presented, but uses that were continuing were not. We now get both in our staff report, so it would have been picked up
I
under the
fully
current regime.
understand that.
But I agree with you that we need
If
to...
you look at the PUD and the wording in the PUD, it limits signs.
And the billboard is a sign.
Is a billboard not a sign?
Yep.
Yes, it is, in my view. But it may not be from a legalistic standpoint, and that's what, like I said, in my view, we either need to change our policy at the permitting stage if it's something slipped through, or we need to amend an ordinance. But something needs to be done to address this, and that's what I'm requesting, some type of a recommendation.
Let me just weigh in on Commissioner Gale's comment. When he informed me about this a couple of days ago, I said that couldn't be. It's impossible, because it was a negotiated deal with the applicant, with the presenter, that's the signs. And as you said, John, at that time we only listed what they would eliminate and not the rest of the uses. But nevertheless, I can't imagine a legal conclusion wouldn't be that PUD preempts whatever it is that was in that, particularly when it said that it's a sign policy under the PUD and that's a negotiated contract between the applicant and the city. But on a sub-footnote, and I'll bring it up again as I have for a long, long time, if there would be some effort made by changing our sign ordinance to take care of even here's a C3, blank C3, we have a sign ordinance that is now in the 21st century, not back there 50 years ago where pole signs in every C3 place and billboards can be put anywhere there needs to be an effort to try to maybe tone that down and not let this happen on appearance corridors, especially since the Oklahoma City plan and what we've worked on to try to improve the appearance of the city still allows this to happen by accident or on purpose. I don't really know, and that's what I think, and I'll encourage Mr. Gale's recommendation to come to the bottom of this, because if this is allowed to happen, then we might as well go home. That's my comment.
Okay. Any other comments to weigh in on? JJ and Susan, you know where we're going? Okay, good, thank you. Planning Department. Oh, Susan, you have something, for heaven's sake.
I just want to mention that I think we will need a UDC in July. We have at least one item, and I think there's probably a couple more that'll fall in line before then. We have some landscape ordinance changes. There's a document that used to be called Recommended Trees and Plants for Oklahoma City, and we've kind of done some work on that, and we need to make ordinance changes to recognize our new process. You'll see that. So we need to present that, and JJ may have an item, and we may have something else by then as well.
Oh, as long as you're aware that July and August are tough months to get all 9 of us here.
Right. It's been a busy agenda, though.
I mean, this is June, for heaven's sakes, and we're just 6. JJ, anything from you, municipal counselor? Motion to, anything, other comments before we adjourn? Motion to adjourn? Motion.
Second.
We are adjourned.